safe to assume that many of us have fallen into this monotonous, tedious daily routine that I think, based on the image that's in front of us, has left us feeling bored and unfulfilled and tired of life, where we do pretty much the same thing every single day. We wake up, we check our cell phones, we go to work, we commute, or we go to our home office doing jobs that chances are many of us don't like, only to watch the clock, waiting until it strikes 5 to where we leave and maybe hang out with people or participate in relationships that are unfulfilling, go home, binge watch something on Netflix on our phones, go to bed, and then repeat the following day. And I think many of us in some way feel like we're indentured servants, where we work longer hours, we work harder, we're under more stress, and we feel like we're not getting anywhere. We're just working to pay off bills and to just get by. And it is this sort of lifestyle that has left many of us feeling burned out to the point where we begin to question whether or not all this hard work we've been putting forth or putting into our jobs and our lives is worth it. And that perhaps maybe what we're experiencing in our circumstances is not fulfilling and is not producing the kind of results that we want in our lives. And that is where I think we reach this burnout point where we start to question our reality and where we ask the question as to whether or not this is all there is. Is there more to life than what we're experiencing in our current reality? And that's where I think a film like The Matrix, which has been so popular for so many years, is really referenced so often, especially in discussing our powers of perception and whether or not our reality is really real or is it an illusion. And I think that's what the film really does. It helps us question our reality as to whether or not it is even real. And there's a very pivotal scene where Morpheus confronts Neo as to challenging him as to for him to realize that his life has basically been an illusion where he's been entrapped into this matrix or the system, which we're going to use interchangeably throughout this lecture. And Morpheus essentially presents Neo with the blue pill and red pill. We all are very familiar with this scene for those of us who've watched The Matrix, where Morpheus says, you take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. So what Morpheus here is saying is that we have a choice. You can decide to keep doing what you're doing and just live your life as if you were living it every other day in the past before it. Or you can decide to take the red pill and wake up and realize that your reality, your life, has been a mere illusion, and that in fact you are much more powerful than what you realized. And this could be a very disruptive mindset or moment in your life when someone realizes that perhaps the circumstances in their lives or that the challenges and problems they're facing aren't necessarily real, or to put it another way, that we have much more control over our lives than first thought. It doesn't mean necessarily that we can control everything that happens outside of us, but we can certainly control our perception of what happens. And by controlling our perception, thus we can control our reality. Because much of our experiences, using our five senses when we interact with our external environment, our experiences happen within our mind. And it's how we perceive our circumstances and our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us that can transform our lives. And it is the power of perception. And there's a quote where, and again, I'm paraphrasing, you can make heaven out of hell or hell out of heaven. And it is all, again, about how you perceive your current circumstances. And that, as I said before, you have much more power than first thought to be able to overcome and transcend the challenges you're going through, whether internally or externally. And I think really when it comes to referring to the matrix itself, or we can use the system that we live in, where we have a system or society that has convinced us to think small, that you have to do things a certain way, that if you don't conform to societal standards, then you will be ostracized or kicked out of society in a way, metaphorically. And this could be very jarring for a lot of people because, as I've said in several lectures, where obviously as human beings, if you look at early man, we functioned in tribal societies where if you were kicked out of a tribe, it was essentially a death sentence. So fast forward to today in a modern society, if you don't conform to society or to modern conventional norms, then you essentially will be an outcast. And that is very difficult and jarring for many people. But it is this journey that we all must undergo in a way in order for us to break free of the conventional norms that have held us back. And that, in fact, we're not alone. There's many of us out there who wish to no longer conform to societal standards and set our own course and create our own vision of a better future where we can help ourselves and our community and those we care about. And I think this is a great quote from Escape the System by Joe Barnes, a great book which I recommend, where he says, the system warns against this meaning thinking for ourselves. Above all else, it tells us not to give in to our dreams. It informs us that we are very ordinary and should be happy for what we've got. As a result, you may find yourself having to free your mind from a lifetime of conditioning. You have to get your head around the idea that allowing yourself to believe in the seemingly impossible will give you strength rather than set you up for a disaster. And there's the word conditioning that really stands out, which really, I think, raises another question as to whether or not our beliefs or our thoughts are even created by us, or were they shaped and formed by outside influences. And that really we're being influenced by external circumstances or factors that are beyond our control, or have been beyond our control for a long time. And that many of our beliefs have been shaped by the opinions of others, from friends, family, mentors, institutions, schools, you name it, have influenced us for better or for worse. Now, I'm not trying to promote an anti-establishment point of view. What I'm trying to suggest is that we just simply ask ourselves empowering questions and question some of the information that is passed on to us and question our own beliefs and also reshape our perceptions about the world around us where we begin to empower ourselves for the better. And it was Maxwell Maltz from his book Psycho-Cybernetics, another great book which I recommend, that he says it is no exaggeration to say that every human being is hypnotized to some extent, either by ideas he has uncritically accepted from others or ideas he has repeated to himself or convinced himself are true. These negative ideas have exactly the same effect upon our behavior as the negative ideas implanted into the mind of a hypnotized subject by a professional hypnotist. Which I think this could be a little bit jarring for us to come to terms with, that perhaps to some degree many of us are hypnotized to think and act a certain way that goes against our self-interest, because our personality shapes our personal reality. And our personality is comprised of the repetitive thoughts in our mental studio that we create on a daily basis. These negative thought patterns that shape our reality and shape our view and perception of ourselves and the world around us. And that many of these ideas didn't even come from us. They originated from influences outside of us. But the great thing is that once we begin to become aware of this, and again, self-awareness is so powerful. When we become self-aware of this, we begin to realize there's a lot more to life than what we see at face value. That we are much more powerful than we first thought. That we can begin to just reshape our perceptions, whereby just by reshaping our perceptions to think in more positive ways, to make the impossible possible, automatically our life would change for the better without much effort. Because self-awareness of itself and realizing that our reality may not be as solid as we first thought, meaning that we can't change it. In fact, we can change it based on changing our perceptions, is very empowering. So that it all starts with thinking in new ways, entertaining new ideas about our lives and the world around us. But more importantly, it's time that we start thinking big. We start imagining new horizons. We begin to cultivate a new vision for a better future of what it is that we want. And many of us tend to focus on what it is that we don't want. But again, as I said before, it's about perception, and more specifically, what it is that we focus on. When we focus on what we do want, we have this internal guidance system that can help us make new choices and decisions by our thoughts. Where when we focus on what we want, we start to make new choices and decisions that can move us in the direction of where it is that we want to go. So these are just some of my goals and dreams that I want to accomplish. And again, these are just some of many, but these are a few that I want to share with you. One is, of course, is to grow Teachly University, my YouTube channel and business. To teach at a major university, which is another one of my goals. I love teaching, as you've already noticed. So to teach at a major university would certainly be one of my big goals. To compete in a long drive competition, which basically, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, long drive is a competition where it's just you drive, whoever can drive the golf ball the farthest basically will win. It is an amateur and professional long drive league that I would love to be a part of and compete in. So that's one of my big goals. And then my other goal is to grow my real estate business. So these are just some of my big goals that I have. Now, my dreams and my goals are certainly going to be bigger than yours. But regardless of whatever it is that you want to start taking inventory of what it is that you want to accomplish. What do you want to do? And to not let the system or your current circumstances define what it is that you want or to define your life. Many of us, unfortunately, fall prey at the altar of our circumstances. And I'm here to tell you that in order for us to overcome our circumstances, we should no longer pay too much attention to it. That doesn't mean that we ignore reality or ignore our problems, but we want to, as I said, reshift our focus to what it is that we do want. And when we focus on what we do want and begin to challenge our negative beliefs and challenge the perceptions that we hold of reality, and start to think big and realize that there's a lot more possibility out there than when we see at face value. And that just because you can't see what it is that you want in your current reality right now does not mean that it's not possible. It's all about reshifting our focus and questioning the current reality that we face and begin to wake up and realize that we are much more powerful than we first thought, and we have the ability to make the impossible possible. Thank you so much for watching Teachly University. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can watch all my lectures on personal growth, wealth building, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Thank you so much.